Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Coast to coast college football.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going to go out of there.
The sickest college football podcast.
There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards.
It's going to be sick.
That's right.
That's right, John Lund.
It's the Sick Podcast, Coast to Coast College Football Show. He said it. I'm John Lund, the East Coast side. He's Dan Lynch, the West Coast transplant. Happy Halloween, folks. For any of you listening or watching, once this gets posted, happy Halloween and happy 2 days after turning 36 for me, Dan, which means I'm not the same age as the head coach of Arizona State anymore until he turns 36, I think, in April. We're either the same age or he's going to catch up to me regardless. But I'm not coaching a college football team at 36. I have a kid who's a year old, so I guess
there
that's
you go.
Something you could check off the list of things that people expect you to do in life. So we have that going for us, and nothing exciting except the Facebook memories of 14 to 13 years ago when I was able to go out and enjoy Halloween weekends with other young folks who were in the primes of their lives. Those days are long gone now.
I'm the ultimate podcast asshole host who didn't even know it's your birthday because you barely post on Instagram anymore.
It's true. I haven't been on in a while. That's my fault. I have to get on.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday, my brother. Do they, when you were talking about Halloween and all this stuff, it got me thinking, do they celebrate Halloween in Canada where the Sick Media podcast originates from? I think they do. It's a worldwide holiday, I believe, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on a different day because sometimes we don't have the same days for the same types of things. But according to the old internet, yes, Halloween is celebrated in Canada. Now, that's the AI overview that Google gives you now, so you can't trust any of that. But we're just going to hope that everybody up in Canada, too, while they're going to be enjoying a Game 6 baseball game for their favorite baseball team in the major leagues, they could get out, do a little trick-or-treat, and then sit down in front of the TV and see what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the crew can do and maybe win a World Series championship for the first time since the early 90s. They got a lot going on up there. Hockey started. I mean, it's time.
Life is good up in Canada, no doubt. Here in Dodger Town, it's been depressing, even though they have, arguably the best athlete of all time playing the sport. The Dodger faithful take it very serious here in Los Angeles, just like a Yankee fan, just like a Boston fan. But they're a little bit more animated and dramatic because we are in Tinseltown. So, the world is going to end if they do not win. But again, happy birthday to you, brother. Happy spooky season to you. And a very spooky situation going down in the bayou. A tiger has turned into a zombie. Brian Kelly has been fired at LSU. Now, John, if you told me before we started this podcast in the summer, Penn State would be looking for a head coach, LSU would be looking for a head coach, Florida would be looking for a head coach, makes sense to me. But those two teams alone looking for a head coach going into week 10 is wild to me. Do I think it was justified, and do I think time kind of passed Brian Kelly at LSU? Yes. But listen, that guy is the all-time winningest head coach at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He had everything possible for him to win at LSU, and it just didn't happen. This is a pure example of what the sport is turning into and what we're going to get used to as fans and people covering this game, because it is a week-to-week thing now here in 2025. It is now going to be a 2-year to 2-year thing going forward, because if you don't win fast now, you're gone. And man, it's just wild. The sport is changing so much. During the week when we talk about it, it's like, man, this sport is just turning into a headache. But guess what? On Saturdays and Fridays and Thursdays, the sport is awesome, and it's delivering on the field. So it's delivering on the field. The off-the-field drama is wild, but man, was shocked that they fired him.
Yeah, if you told us before the season during the season, Brian Kelly would get fired, James Franklin would get fired, Billy Napier would get fired, and then you could add the slew of other coaches. You'd have to assume there was like a coaches conference at Six Flags, and some like fifth grader got a hold of the roller coaster, like in Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Shout
where
out
he used
Six
to
Flags,
just
dude.
not complete the track and send the cars into the water and just watch the carnage happen and people leave the park just for kicks and giggles.
You were a
Roller
great adventure
Coaster
guy.
Tycoon.
You were a great adventure guy, I'm assuming, because of your location, right? Six Flags?
Yeah, if I were to go, we were
Jersey.
like Dorney Park, Hershey
You're a
Park,
Dorney guy. Yeah. Okay.
Nobles. We were like the PA if we ever
Yeah,
did
yeah,
the park route and made the 2-hour or 3-hour trek. Sesame Place growing up, I mean, you can't go wrong.
That's
We had
true.
made.
I never been to Sesame Place. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Knoebels, not that people are going to know anything about this park, but you can check it out on the old internet machine. They have a lot of like older amusement park rides. Like they still have a wooden roller coaster,
That's
but
pretty
your
dope.
common like the Sandlot, the spinny ride that they all got sick on when they had chewing tobacco for the first time, like typical rides that you would see. When you go on those as an adult, like a log flume that doesn't strap you in and you're just on the back of the log flume and then you go down, like when there's not safety measures to really have you secure in these things, like at the more higher end amusement parks, they're terrifying, dude. Like you're spinning around up in the air on the swings, like you're holding on for dear life. It's a lot funner when you're a child and you don't know of horrors of these things going wrong. When you're an adult and you're 6'7" on top of trying to cram yourself into these things, and then there's nothing to hold on to, and you're just flailing around. It was terrifying the last time we were there, like 15 years ago. But
well, it's
romantic
just as
in a sense.
terrifying.
Now you just have to go on the rides with your child, the slow like boats and the different things that aren't going to be as terrifying. But years down the line, hey, Dad, you want to go on this roller coaster? Not really. I mean, I'll stand below you and wave, but I'd rather just be here, boots on the ground, as they like to say. But yes, it would
just
be something catastrophic had to happen to all these people that were in the same room at the same time. Not that they would just be let go because of how the seasons went, but it's crazy how the world is moving along now in college football, that if you're not producing after several years and the money's not rolling in like they want, the thought is they can go find the next person and change this in a blink of an eye. I don't think that's going to be the case, Dan. I'm not quite sure this is going to be the move. We're going to see what happens, but you're starting to see slowly. Rule just got his extension at Nebraska, which you could look at his tenure there and think, was it really worth having this guy around for several more years based on what he's done to this point? He hasn't had that like third-year resurgence that he had at his previous 2 stops. Teams are trying to hold on to their folks. There might be teams that don't want to make firings now because the coaching pool is going to be seemingly empty with bigger names going to these bigger schools, or maybe they think they could fire somebody and somebody will leave and they could fill that position in with guys getting moved around behind them. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but it's going to be a new era of what do you do now afterward? Once you pull the plug mid-season, how do you fill that hole now moving forward? Who are you going to get that's going to be better than these on paper top 10 coaches is really what they are for the most part. It's going to be fascinating to see who they decide is going to be the new era for these schools and how much of a leash they'll end up getting in the next several years and what they're able to do in the transfer portal era and the NIL era. It's going to be crazy.
It is crazy. And to go back to the Rule thing, he's 18-15 since being at Nebraska. Okay, with a huge game against USC this weekend that will tell us a lot about both programs going forward in the Big Ten, in my opinion. But this is the other side of all these firings, that other teams and programs feel like they need to now pay mediocre coaches in order to retain them. And again, I think Matt Rule's a great head coach. I think he's a great offensive mind, and his journey is really interesting. But let's just be honest, on paper, if all these firings were not happening, I would say if 3 out of the 9 firings didn't happen, Rule would not be getting this, right? Like,
no.
What
next
is Dan
year
Lanning?
you would think he'll be? He would have been on the hot seat as like, all right, you got to prove it now. It's year 4, man.
So is Dan Lanning Like in theory, with Nebraska paying him, is Dan Lanning about to get a $10 million extension? Like, is that where we're at? Because like if you look at what like Matt Rule did, the 18-5 or 18-15 record got him a $2 million. Okay, Lanning is like, I think he's lost 3 games at Oregon. Yeah. 3 regular season. So does that equivalent to $10 million? Because that's gonna be the asking price. Does LSU have the money? I don't know. I mean, it is going to be crazy, but man, I just still have to kind of wrap my mind around that. We still have these blue blood programs who don't have head coaches in the 10th week of the season. And sometimes I'm like,
well, then you're looking at LSU situation too. Like once that happened, people started saying, well, this is the job now. I mean, Penn State was the number 1, but you got to put LSU up there. It beats Florida. Like that's the place to be. Lane Kiffin should consider it. And then they went down the list. But now you're hearing the governor is coming out from Louisiana saying that he's refusing to have the AD hire the next head coach. He wants the AD gone, even though they came out today. Brought in Kim Mulkey to win a championship for LSU.
Jay Johnson.
Great coaches have come to LSU under his watch, and you're basically telling him, hey, I want you fired for starters, but if that's not going to happen, you're certainly not hiring the new head coach. Well, who's bringing the new guy in? And then what happens in the next couple of years down the road? Does the governor stay in his position or the other board of trustees that are supposedly going to be handling this? It just seems like he wants to be able to stand on his pulpit and say, I'm controlling the football program. How about you fix the fucking state first, dude, before we worry about the football team? Don't you have anything else to do than worry about what's going on at LSU and tweeting about them on Saturdays and what's going on with their attendance? Why don't you look at the state and your constituents and leave LSU to the athletic director? Perish the thought that he's not going to be able to do a good job with who they're going to bring in next. It's just crazy to think now that somebody's going to want to run there and be their head coach when it's the SpongeBob meme of Jim just throwing papers and the whole room is on fire, just trying to figure out who's going to be the people that are going to welcome this person on board. Like, I don't understand the after effects now of how they thought this was going to go and who's having their hands in the cookie jar. It's people that don't know anything about college football. All of a sudden are going to control LSU of all schools. I'm sure the fan base is thrilled and loving the fact that these randoms who are supposed to be paying attention to the state as a whole are now interested in what's going on with the football program for one school in the state. Wonderful.
Well, it just means more in the SEC, John.
It does.
It just means more. But
if they could get a little piece of that pie and a little bit of that revenue instead of just having to deal with the politics monies, hey,
I mean,
why not?
The politics aside, listen, Louisiana is a beautiful state, but it definitely has issues like many other states in this country.
That's the only thing they have to worry about is LSU football. Everything else is great.
But and I kind of jokingly say it just means more, but it does. It does. It's state pride down there. I'm willing to bet the governors or the people who are running for the state of New Jersey's next governor probably don't know who Shiano is. Like, I don't think they're going to
be worried about Rutgers as one of their first.
Yeah, it's not, but that's the difference. That's completely the difference. Okay, so let's go. Let's say you are the governor and you are deciding the next LSU head coach. First name that comes to mind.
James Franklin.
Yeah. Okay, if you just hired a Northerner, I don't know if you're going to James.
Come on down, James. Let's see if they have the odds up on the offshore booking sites to see who might be the next head coach. I mean, we already mentioned Lane Kiffin, who's going to get his name thrown around. A couple of these sites have stealing Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. I can't necessarily see that being the case. You mentioned Dan Lanning already as another person. This website thinks Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator, should take it. John Sumrall from Tulane.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the name I was going to say is John Sumrall in Tulane. Okay, one, if you look at how Tulane has performed in the American over the last 5 years, they're one of the top programs there, and they're doing a lot with nothing when it comes to recruiting, right? I mean, not recruiting, because you're in the South, right? So you're in the state of Louisiana too. So you have the cream of the crop when it comes to offensive, defensive linemen, skill players, quarterbacks you're normally going out of the state to bring in, but Nussmeier was okay. He's from Louisiana. But everything is built into that state. So John Summerall has done an excellent job with Tulane, which is in New Orleans. Baton Rouge is about like an hour away. So, same thing. It just makes complete sense to me. They need a guy who's smash mouth going to punch someone in the face, and you got to get someone who's going to run through a wall. I mean, another problem I think with I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, Brian Kelly wasn't a fit at LSU, because you brought up examples of other people from the state outside the state of Louisiana who have won at LSU, right? Jay Johnson is like a West Coast dude. Doesn't have children, is very liberal, but he won at LSU. You don't have to be from the state to do there. But what I think you need to do, and when you look at all these other head coaches who have been successful at LSU, is they needed LSU just as much as LSU needed them as a head coach. Brian Kelly never really needed that, man.
Yeah.
He didn't. I mean, Brian Kelly is going to go to the College Football Hall of Fame. He's going to be remembered as a better head coach than he was a worse head coach. But now in this modern era, especially specifically for LSU, you need to have a coach who's going to come in there and sleep in the office, who is going to drive a truck, not a Tesla, because Brian Kelly drove a Tesla. And who kind of just understands,
which we found out when someone was in like the forest showing the building on that Sunday when all the coaches had to go to the mansion to get the hey, we're moving on. And somebody was out there with their phone ready to see Brian Kelly drive away.
He drives
and
a
then
Tesla.
got him at a restaurant and joined the next day. They were all over Brian Kelly's whereabouts.
Yeah, you can't drive a Tesla if you're the LSU head coach. Matter of fact, I think any SEC coach or any human actually should not be driving a Tesla. But anyway, and you need someone who's going to come in there and say, hey, I want to take the next step in my career. LSU could do that for me. I want to restore state pride. They're bigger than the Saints. They're bigger than everything in that state. I mean, obviously the governor of the state had something to do with this hire and is going to. So you need someone who's going to say, hey, I'm ready to just fully submit, be the Tiger guy for the next 10 years and build a legacy that they can down there. And I think John Summerall just makes complete sense to me. But they're going to swing heavy, man. They're going to go for Lane. They're going to go. I thought about this name today, Johnny, and I would love to get your opinion on it. Things are not going great at Clemson.
No.
It would make sense to complete this sentence that Brian Kelly got fired, James Franklin got fired in 2025, and Dabo Swinney. If you're LSU, do you maybe say, hey, Dabo, come over here and you got to change your ways, brother. You got to get into that portal. But he's a hell of a ball coach, man. And he has the background to do it. And he kind of needs LSU to take him to that next step of ascending amazing head coach. Because I think he's a great head coach now. Can he do it again? Yeah. And again in the SEC.
And in the SEC, can you do it again? Not only with that. Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see who they go after, if they may want to start going in the we haven't coached in a bit pool and give the old Urban Meyer call, the Jimbo Fisher, who we know probably wants to get back into football, and see if they want to take it over. I don't necessarily think you need, as you said, to get an LSU guy. Wouldn't hurt. But I think if you just get somebody that understands what it means to be an LSU guy and doesn't show up to the first introduction to the fans at the basketball game and put on this fake Louisiana accent, despite growing up in Massachusetts and then going to coach for 2 decades in the state of Michigan, all of a sudden now you got this twang. Well, you got plenty of time now to spend with your family, and you don't have to worry about having to deal with all the hubbub that was following you around all this season. It's just crazy, too, that these moves are happening like after not great losses. I mean, Billy Napier's case, after a win, though it wasn't in a blowout fashion that the fans want, a little bit too close for comfort. But it's like, are we just going on 1 game performances, 2 game performances? James Franklin's case 3, where now we have to pull the cord. Like, what happens for Dabo's case, for example? They play LSU, Louisville coming up, or Louisville, as I'm supposed to say. What if they win that one? Louisville's got a number next to their name, and that's kind of their like season-defining win as they move forward. Well, now what? What were your thoughts about what's going on? As much as Jeff Brom, who's getting thrown around for these head coaching positions as the next potential hire, wasn't getting thrown around before they beat Miami. Now, all of a sudden, he knows how to coach a football team because they beat Miami on a Friday night. Like, it's just crazy how one game is changing these things, much like if you're watching the Heisman races on DraftKings or FanDuel. Odds are changing based on drives, touchdown passes, interceptions. People are rising and falling on one play. It's just amazing how this world now in 2025 can get flipped on a dime based on what you're doing literally right now. It's just, I don't know if that's the answer. And if you should just look at the big picture, like finish the season out. It's not like LSU's not playing anybody the rest of the year. What if you beat the teams that are left on your schedule and you finish strong and you won your bowl game? Like, does that matter anymore? Or was those 2-3 losses bad enough to where we can't do this anymore? I don't know if it's wise for teams to just seemingly make rash decisions, though acceptable ones, right after losses, and not a couple weeks after, couple days after, the next day we're firing this guy. They lost to Texas A&M by 1,000. Jeez.
Yeah,
it's just wild to be a head coach now in college football. You have a target on your back seemingly every week.
Yeah, and I also think going forward, right, when we see these next batch of hirings that will probably just start in like late December, we got to also realize we got the playoffs coming up very shortly. We have the first rankings next week. So during this time where these blue blood programs are going to be trying to hire these coaches who are going to be in the playoff. Right. So the distraction of like, hey, they're in the playoff. They've made it there. Right. Your name's around this job, man. Well, how are you handling that pressure in this? And like the kids hear it. They do.
And
but
it's the best time to be recruiting for your next several classes when you're in the college football playoff, to bring these guys, especially if you're hosting a game now, to bring in the recruits. Like, look at what we can do. This could be you guys. And the first question they're going to ask these guys is, well, are you staying? We heard your name on Twitter that you're up for 3-4 different coaching positions. Are you going to be around? They're not going to say yes or no. They're going to give you the I'm focused on my team answer, and they're my importance, the players. They're not going to give you a yes or no because they have no idea if a good enough offer comes on the table, whether they're going to take it or not. So now you're leaving however many recruits in limbo for what their next gig is going to be. It's just incredible.
It's crazy
to be part of
this. In theory, right? Like, so, Indiana's going to be a lock, right? So Indiana's a lock. So that's
the game against UCLA this past week.
Oh man, this is Jerry Neuheisel's. Okay, so
no, they didn't put poor Jerry Neuheisel on the Twitter pictures. Now the head coach is the guy that's getting the blame.
Yeah, Tim Skipper.
Poor Tim.
Yeah. Okay, so Cignetti's out. Day is out. Lanning, I think, is not going to leave Oregon. It used to be a stepping stone job, but it's not anymore. He's not leaving Oregon. Trying to think of other head coaches who will be in the playoff. Lane is going to definitely be a name to watch. Man, I'm just trying to think. The guy right now, the G6 FA is Memphis. The head coach at Memphis, should be in the conversations to be getting a bigger job.
And there's going to be so many new teams potentially that get to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Do you think Brent Key, if they win the ACC,
just about to say Brent Key,
and get in, obviously he's going to be a huge name to want to grab. Why would he say yes if they win the ACC or come close to it, when he could just continue to build what he's doing at Georgia Tech, assumedly get more money from them?
Great life in Atlanta.
And the ACC is not this huge juggernaut at the moment that it used to be, where you're able to potentially do something. I can't imagine being a coach, getting to the highest of high and making the college football playoff with the team that people didn't expect to make. And you've got your phone ringing off the hook to come for a different opportunity when you just finally built what you've been trying to build for however many years it's been. Can you just give me a second to enjoy what we're doing and relish in the moment? No. No time.
It's going to be crazy.
Coach, look at all these offers you got. What do you think? Huh?
I think that the next batch of these contracts also too are going to be a lot shorter. And I'm talking like 4 years max contracts. And that sounds crazy, but like if you just look at the rotation and the way that ADs and boosters and literally the governments of states are looking at some of these programs, they don't have time to waste. I also think, Johnny, that these contracts are not going to be these mega contracts that we used to see. One, from a buyout standpoint, they're not. There's no point of saying to a guy, "Hey, your buyout each year is $10 million. You're signed for 7, so that's 70 if we fire you." That's not going to happen anymore. So I think the contracts are going to be a lot lower. And to be honest, I think that's kind of good for the game because, like, listen, no matter what you say, who won at the end of the day? These guys who are not doing anything in their lives, who have $70 million just coming to them automatically. I mean, they win. They completely win.
I think you're going to see too, like, coaches be more willing to turn down $5 or $10 more million just to get the stability at the lesser, in quotes, program that's willing to give you the $6-7 million contract, but for $10-15 million less than it might be for a lesser deal, just so they can have the comfort of knowing, like, they believe in me and I'll have 6-7 years to keep building this thing. They can go after incentives, which I think will be a big deal now. Like, we'll give you $500,000 if you make the college football playoff, and just keep laddering up whatever your success is. So you're kind of getting it on the back end if you're still doing well. And if you don't have the immaculate season and have, God forbid, 4 losses, which used to be a great year for a lot of teams, you don't have to worry about getting thrown to the door. You can just keep building what you're doing and show them what you're capable of. I think a lot of changes are coming, but I think you'll also see more guys be okay with either staying at their former school or staying at where they're building something and just having stability, not having to worry about, well, I know they're paying me the most money out of this handful of coaches, but I also know if I lose in 2-3 years, I might be going down the road, and I don't have that buyout like you're talking about that's going to keep me going for the rest of my days, which a lot of these coaches have, and somehow still want to get back into this sport. Crazy people.
And I work with a guy, Jimbo Fisher, who is chilling,
itching to get back.
He wants to get back because it's an addiction to these guys. It's just winning. And Jimbo has won a national championship before.
Yeah, he's done enough.
I think he's in his career has lost 3 bowl games.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, and you know how much money that brings to a school's winning a Peach Bowl? Like, they get paid. I think another reminder that we need to also just, it's so simple, John, but there's only one champion every single year. There's only one champion. Yeah, you could win your conference. So, right, Power 4, there's 4 conference champions. There's one national champion a year. There's one. There's only going to be one for the rest of until college football stops being played on this earth. There's only one champion. So there's going to be a bunch of people who did not win that year. Do you fire them because they didn't win? Like,
it's going to be crazy too to hear, and we're not quite there yet, but we're going to get the coaches that have you'll hear it in college basketball too. Well, he's made X number of Elite Eights and X number of Final Fours, but he's never won the big one. Well, they've made the college football playoff 6 of the last 7 years, but he's never gotten past the semifinals to get that national championship game. Can he win the big one? Is he worth keeping around? And somebody needs to just take a step back and realize how hard that is to get to, especially doing it year after year. No, we have to win now. It has to happen. I don't know if you saw on the old Twitter machine, there was a picture going around, one of these idiots that was like, my girlfriend expected me to do something on this Saturday. She must be out of her mind. And it was from before the season started, and it had the list of games coming up for week 10 and all these numbers in front of everybody's names for the preseason. And now when you look at the list, it's not as spectacular as it might have been. So if you have Halloween plans that you're doing on Saturday, you can probably go out and do them and not necessarily miss too much Although I'm the one to argue on this show that every Saturday, if you have something to do, like a wedding or being with family and friends, is a little bit more important than sitting on your couch for 12 hours watching teenagers play football. But the first one on the list is Penn State at Ohio State, that we thought was going to make or break both their seasons. And now the spread is up to 3 touchdowns, I believe. Oh no, it's down to 19.5. So they've bumped it down a couple since that came out. If you got that number before the season, sometimes they throw out the futures numbers. The spread was somewhere around 2, 1,
2 or 3. I mean, yeah.
If you're holding an Ohio State ticket at 3.5, you're looking pretty good. The big game is Vanderbilt, Texas. People are shocked that Texas is favored by 3.5 points, and I can understand the argument for that. Based on the records that both have and based on what Vanderbilt's done. What have you done for me lately? Diego Pavia is a Heisman favorite for a lot of folks, which I can't understand, because if you looked at what he's actually done box score wise, not much incredible.
And that's what the award is, right?
Season.
That's what the award is, right? Would you argue that is a statistical award? Is not?
It should be, yes. Not only success of the team, but you've dazzled on your way to such success.
Right.
And he's had a handful of dazzling moments, but he hasn't had a season worth of dazzling games. So I don't really understand the narrative for that. It's fun to see him do the pose, but you don't have to take that literally. Other than that, I mean, you're scrolling to just find something that's going to tickle your fancy. Georgia has to go to Florida. Maybe they have that, like, coach gets fired.
The biggest cocktail party, right? Yeah.
The biggest cocktail party game. That might be something where the new coach can steal a win, which is always a narrative for gamblers. But I mean, really,
USC,
Oklahoma,
I think USC
going to Tennessee is going to be a big one.
USC,
the overall
Nebraska.
slate, USC Nebraska will get the blood flowing for people. And
I think that's not a bad
Cincinnati
game.
going to Utah favored by 10.5, which is very disrespectful.
I don't get that. Hey, listen, I've been to a few games in Utah at night, and like it gets weird. Like that's the best way to describe it. It gets weird. The way the lighting is when you're on the field, you can't see the stands, and it gets loud. Like the Musts, that their fan base, bro, they are crazy. So that's what I'm thinking. It kind of leans a little bit that way, but listen, Cincinnati's rolling right now. Sorsby is a baller. One of the best offensive lines in the country. So, that's where I love Utah. I've had a great relationship with them for a real long time. So I got love for the Utes, but I'm like, I'm looking at that number. I'm like, I don't know about that one, man. But Dan Pierre's a good quarterback too. Whittingham's a hell of a coach. Still got tough defensive line. It's gonna be a great Big 12 battle. I can't. Who does Houston play? I feel like that's a decent game as well.
Let's see if they're even on our list here. They are hosting West Virginia at noon.
Yeah, okay. So again, on paper, like not great, but I could just see that being a good Big 12 battle.
I mean, you could have some upsets. You were talking about Memphis. They have to go to Rice, and they're favored by 13.5. But strange things happen on Friday under the lights.
Oh, interesting.
Strange things happen under the lights on Fridays. But you could see teams somehow get some upsets, like SMU didn't all of a sudden just forget completely how to play football. They're hosting Miami, who finally has to travel out of the state of Florida. We get to November.
Crazy.
They're playing their first game out of the state, having to go over to Texas. So still not that bad.
Crazy.
Hilarious.
That's crazy, right? Like that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. I don't know who looks at the schedule and goes, that's fine. That's not competitive advantage at all.
No.
So there are a couple.
Miami, do not wear those uniforms. Do not wear those uniforms last week.
Jesus,
bro.
we won't be able to see them. How are we going to
service?
Stop in the grass?
Salute to service, but salute them more respectfully because man, those uniforms were rough, ugly. And that's not like Miami either, man.
No, they usually come and want to look swaggy. This was like, did you all just go to the local hunt, fish, and camp, Gander Mountain, if they're still in business here in the East Coast? I'm not even sure, to get those camouflage. Carhartt store.
Yeah.
Jokes like that for people that know hunting a little bit more than we do. One that's I have circled, obviously, is a fear, is just because you never know what's going to happen at Lane Stadium for Louisville. They're at 3:00 and they're subjected to the CW network. Strange things always happen over on the CW, so you never know what's going to happen at Lane Stadium.
Mike Yam, Max Brown on the call.
Yeah. You
Come
never know
on,
what's going to
bro.
happen over there on the CW. So
Hell
you
yeah.
just have to take care of your business for several of the teams that don't have the biggest stature of these games that we thought they would before the season started. But there's potential for some teams to go down that you don't expect.
But we have
Say
to
that every
remember
week.
this. We have to remember this next offseason when we're just bored and coming up with polls and, hey, let's pay attention to this week, because guess what? It's not going to happen, because at the beginning of the year we were just bored. Like, we were like, man, the first couple of weeks of the season are going to be boring. Arguably, they've been unbelievable compared to what we have now. So we just have to remember that people who cover the sport, like, college football is changing so much on a week-to-week basis that we got to get out of these old habits of just making our champions already just based off of their names. That's just out of the books now. Like, you just can't do it.
And we'll get
And you
there,
can't.
the show or two before the college football playoff, like who everybody thought would be there. You're not going to see basically any of those names when it
Right.
comes time to the college football playoff to get started. And we'll talk next week, obviously, about the first rankings that come out and the pomp and circumstance of that. Quick toast to roast to get you out of here. This is for our friends in Canada, too. The Rogers Center up in Toronto, loaded to the gills of Blue Jays fans watching the Blue Jays play the Dodgers in LA. Packed the place out to watch the game on the big screen and cheered just as loudly as they do when the literal team is playing in front of them. Toast or roast to going to a game to watch your favorite team play on the screen of the stadium because the team is actually away, but you get the environment that you're still kind of there. You still have to pay for your seats, I'm guessing, and there's still a sign.
I don't know that.
I don't
that
know
was
if
my
it's like
question.
first come, first serve, or you can sit wherever, or if you have to still like literally buy the seats. I didn't check in to see how that works. If it's still on like StubHub and you have to pick your section, and there's still like the ridiculous prices based on where the food is in the stadium and whatnot, or if you could just walk in and be like, "Hey, I was one of the first people here standing in line. I'm going to the luxury box
Right behind back."
know.
Yeah. Okay, so if I
That
had to
place
pay
was
for it,
bumping when they hit two home runs to start the game off, especially when Vladdy hit his. Place was going nuts. But we see this in the NCAA tournament. College fans go to their respective stadiums to watch the games on the big screen, and the place goes crazy. They storm the court if you win. Like, I've never done it. I don't think Yankee Stadium offers it, which of course they don't.
No,
Surprisingly, they don't want that extra revenue because that's all they care about in life. I don't know if I'd go to Yankee Stadium and watch a playoff game like on the screen in center field or on the TVs, like where you're seated in the stands.
Yeah,
I don't know how it would be to watch a game at the place, but like my TV is pretty big at the house.
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
see everything and hear everything. Like once the crowd goes nuts, you're not going to hear the call or hear the replay reviews or stuff. Like if people are talking, you can't shush them like in a movie theater. I think a theater actually would be a better place to watch, or that those couple places that like mimic that you're sitting on the sidelines.
Oh,
in those
I've
like
been to it.
small
It's called
movie venues.
It's called Cosm.
Yeah, Cosm. There's like a handful of those around.
Bro, it was insane. I'm roasting it because I'm thinking like the Rogers Center is a big place.
Yeah.
And I guess they have a big screen in the back center, right? If I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, it would be. You'd be looking out into the outfield on the scoreboard screen.
I don't know if I like that experience, man. I don't know. But it does say a lot about true fandom. And I think that says a lot about your organization. If you could have the fan base show up and watch a game and you're not even there, like that's awesome. But I don't think you would catch me at one of them. I like the at-home experience as much as I like going to a live game with actual people on the field. But like, listen, the Blue Jays haven't been in a World Series since what, 93?
93.
Yeah, so it makes sense. It makes sense, yeah, I'm roasting.
I would be more
it.
willing
I
to
just
go
wouldn't
if
do
there
it.
were perks. Like, hey, come buy the food. It's half off. We'll give you a jersey at the seat. We'll give you a souvenir cup to say that you were here for the run to the World Series or playing in the World Series. And you kind of get wined and dined a little bit by the team too. Like, hey, you supported us all season. We didn't expect to be open now. We're open. We're going to get money from concessions. Let's give you a couple things. Maybe we'll even give you a discount for next year's ticket prices. Like if they throw a couple bones out, like a special or different things like that, I'd be more apt to go and like, well, if they're going to take care of us after we took care of them as sports work, yeah, I mean, I'll try it. Why not? Just to see how it goes. But it'd be better if there were more TVs around too. Like if you're sitting in the 300 section and there's not any screens around, if you don't have a great eye, bring binoculars to watch the screen out there to see what's going on. Like how loud is the announcers? There's a lot that I'd have to keep.
My brain would just be a little confused like every single time. Like I would just be like looking at the screen and then like looking on the field and be like, wait, where are the players at?
Is remember how baseball used to be in the like early 1900s where they'd have like dummies on the bases and they would hear the radio call and they'd have the guys move around the bases or throw the ball around the field. I think they should do that where like the play happens and then people that are hired to be the baseball players run to second on a double and then like they mimic the pitch being thrown and they kind of like mimic the play.
That is really cool.
Happened. That would be fun to watch. Like so-and-so just hit a home run and now we get to watch the fake players hit the home run and like celebrate again, like in between the commercials or something, just to keep people involved. Because it'd be hard to be like, well, we might as well go get a beer and hang out because they have screens up where you're going to buy the concessions. I'm going to be watching a screen at my seat. Why am I sitting down? I could be going and getting food different places. If you have stuff going on the field, like the Savannah Bananas show up and do their little whatever gets people going at those games, maybe I'd be a little bit more in tune to watch like the fake Vladdy Jr.
I think you're
get real Vladimir Guerrero. Bring him in, have him bat for his son. If he hits a home run, have Vlad Sr. run the bases. Like that'd get the crowd wild. Sign autographs after the game. Like if they could get something exciting going where celebrities come in or whatever they want to do on the field to make it more of a product to watch instead of just the screen. Maybe we're onto something. We got to call the Savannah Bananas people.
Yeah,
they know how to get these things going.
I kind of like the mock game. Yeah,
that's
like
really the olden days. Put the scoreboard.
I didn't even know they used to do that.
Somebody change everything that's going on.
You're onto something, Johnny boy. You're onto something, man.
You need something after too, because the games are 2 seconds now with the pitch clock and everything. The games are over in a blink of an eye now. You can't go there for 4 hours. The game's done 2.5. Next World Series, we'll figure it out. I'm sure the Yankees will be in it to win it this next year.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends in Canada. They're in a place, the Toronto Blue Jays, that no one expected, and they've got a chance to get one of the best upsets we'll see in the sport, though they're deserving of winning these games. They're a damn good baseball team for the people that are still excited about that. And if not, we're in hockey season, and you got this show. That'll do it for us. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. That would be Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Search for the Sick Media Coast to Coast College Football Show. I'm at London Bridge on Twitter. He's at Dan Lynch Sports, SPURTS. We're at SickPod CFB. If you want to hit us up there, we'll talk about whatever you want us to talk about. Or we'll think about going to an empty stadium to watch the next sporting event happen. Or some programs now at this point in the season, I don't know if you've been watching these Thursday night, Friday night football games. Sparse are the crowds at some of these places now in week 10, as you can imagine, when the seasons aren't going as great as they can. We'll do it again next week. Hopefully everybody can keep their jobs, including us.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Coast to Coast College Football on YouTube, X, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.